So it is St. Patrick's Day, and there's only one way to celebrate St. Patrick's Day in Texas, and that is to talk to the head coach of the high school in the town in Texas with the official St. Patrick's Day celebration of Texas. We're talking about Shamrock. We're talking about the Shamrock Fighting Irish, and we're talking about Coach Jody Guy. Coach Guy, thanks for joining us.
I appreciate you having me on.
So I guess first and foremost, what is St. Patrick's Day like out there in Shamrock?
Oh, it's pretty crazy. It starts about Wednesday, and we start getting vendors coming in. They bring the carnival in, and we got a track meet today. We got a big St. Patrick's Invitational today. That kind of starts it off, and they've got banquets going on and music people coming in and having dances, and we've got a big, huge parade on Saturday morning, and there's lots of stuff to do during this week there in Shamrock.
I want to take you back to last season. You guys crack into the playoffs, into the 2A Division II playoffs. You get upended by Fabian or Farwell rather in the first round. I'm interested though, for a program that you're trying to get into a mode of being a consistent winner. Is getting to the playoffs still a big deal for your squad?
It is. I've been here 7 years, and we've been to the playoffs 3 times. When I got here, they hadn't been to the playoffs in the previous 15 years. And so, we've kind of started to get to that point where it's kind of expected, and we want to get to that point where as kids are coming up, that it's not just going to the playoff is not once in 15 years. It's it's an every year thing, and we still enjoy just making the playoffs, but it's for our kids. We were very disappointed the way we ended up. The 2 previous years we'd gone to the playoffs, we had won our by-district round, and so we were disappointed when we ended on that first round of the playoffs this year.
We're talking with Jody Guy, the head coach of the Shamrock Fighting Irish here on DCTF Live. Get involved in the conversation at hashtag DCTF Live. And Coach, I think it's we talk to a lot of coaches who the programs that they're in have these great pedigrees. They have these they've got state championships to lean on. How do you go to your kids and say, guys, we can build something here when there's not necessarily that illustrious past to look back on?
We try to stay in the moment and try to work with we don't go back and say, well, we had all these kids a couple years ago, or we had all these kids a few years ago. We try to stay in the moment, and we try to make sure that these kids are working hard every day, that they're doing the things that we ask them to do, that they're taking care of their business. And we feel like that if we just continue to preach the things that we want to get out of our program during the off season and during summer workouts and during the spring season and stuff, we want to be able to get to a point where our kids feel confident when they go play people, that when they step off the bus, that we're going to win. And it's hard sometimes when you just keep looking back and like I said, when we don't have that necessarily that great pedigree, but we try to explain to them or try to get them to focus on, hey, look at the work that you put in. Look at the time that you put in. Look at the effort that you put in leading up to this point. You're ready to go. You're as good as everybody else. You've done the things to get to that point. We just got to go play. And that's a mindset thing, and it's hard sometimes. Like I said, they hadn't done it very often when I got here. And I think that it's getting to be to a point where, like I said, that I hope and I think that making the playoffs is, hey, it's going to be expected. We've got some really good groups coming up with our junior high kids and some of our sub-varsity kids. We got some of those good kids coming up, and so we feel good where we're at in our program right now. We feel like we've got something we can build on for the future and get one of those pedigrees that some of like the Canadians and some of the teams up in this area have.
You do play in 2A Division II. Realignment recently came out. Not a ton of changes for you guys. District 1 2A Division II. You guys, I imagine, are not unhappy to see Sunray leave, but Vega enters your district. Overall, what did you think of your draw in Realignment?
Well, a little shocked. I wasn't expecting Vega. Vega to come in. We were expecting Sunray to move out because their numbers, led to that. But we expected to get Wellington into our district. So it was kind of shocking on the day of. We felt like everybody else was going to be the same. We turned in 101 at Realignment on snapshot. So we're actually at 6-man numbers, and we're opting to play up. And so just for these next couple of years, and to lose Sunray, to get them out, which they had 160-something kids, and get Vega in, I think they've got 125, 130 kids. At least it's a little bit more comparable for us. We feel like going into the district, and we feel like we can be competitive in our district.
You mentioned you're playing with 6-man numbers. Has there been any thought or any discussion to dropping in and playing 6-man, or is 11-man looks like it's in the near-term future?
11-man's going to be in our future because our numbers in our lower grades are so big that we're going to be. There's a possibility if our numbers don't change within 2 realignments, we're going to be pushing the Division One, the 2A Division One number, and so it just depends on how the economics and stuff go in this area and whether we're able to retain a bunch of those kids. But our lower grades, that we've got a ton of kids in them.
It seems like you guys are going to have a relatively strong core on your offense coming back. You run that flex bone offense, which is so popular out there in kind of the Panhandle, West Texas area. For how important is it to have that kind of experience in what is kind of an intricate offense to operate?
It is. We lost some key players. We lost our center and our quarterback and our fullback. And in our system, those 3 guys are pretty important. We feel like that we've got some kids to replace those. We've got some offensive linemen that are coming back. Some that started for us this past year as freshmen, and then some kids that got a lot of playing time throughout the year that are going to be able to step up and be able to start. So we feel like we've got some good experience on our offensive line, and that's where kind of where everything starts offensively. If you can get a push and you can do what you're supposed to do on the front, it sure does make it easier for those guys on the back end.
I want to ask you about just life as a small-town high school football coach. Shamrock is nobody's going to mistake it for a metropolis. 2,000, a population of 2,000. You mentioned that the enrollment at your high school is at Shamrock High is in the low 100s. What is it like on a Friday night out there at El Paso Field?
Oh, it's good. There's not a whole lot to do here in town, and so we come out and try to have a good time, and trying to, like I said, we're trying to build it back and trying to get a ton of support. The community comes out, and it's an exciting time right now for us.
He is Jody Guy. He is the head coach of the Shamrock Fighting Irish. Coach, we don't often do this because we usually book our guests about 2-3 days in advance. But could we just have you on St. Patrick's Day next year too?
Sure, that'd be great.
All right, there we go. We've booked. Hey, Max, write that down.
I'll put it in the calendar.
We've booked a guest for 1 year from now. He is Jody Guy. He's the head coach of the Shamrock Fighting Irish. Coach, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the off season, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
I appreciate it. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
There he goes, Jody Guy, the head coach of the Shamrock Fighting Irish.